Good afternoon. This is Clark Neighbors with BIS Commodities with your final report for the last day of November 2018. Fairly interesting week following the Thanksgiving Day holiday. For the week, January beans up 12 cents, December corn up 4, March wheat up 8 cents. More interestingly, looking at the month of November, November beans are up 41 cents, and that's almost as much as they are up for the week coming off of Monday's low. March corn for the entire month is up a penny, and wheat is virtually unchanged. So all the activity, all the excitement leading into the weekend trade talk slash G20 slash historic dinner Saturday night is factored into the bean market to some degree, and I'll get onto that in a second. Once we get past this weekend in regards to the trade talks, then the other moving factors to keep in mind going forward would be South American weather, which at this point Brazil's in very good shape, Argentina's in decent shape, and many of the private analysts are looking for record production number potentially out of Brazil right now, both on beans and corn, and with a crop that's a little ahead of schedule. So keep in mind production and supply availability out of Brazil could happen sooner than normal this year, which some are saying once you get into the month of January and especially month of February, they could have a pretty good pace of movement. As far as U.S. movement, bean basis has backed off a little in the last week and a half. I think because of the export situation and the market trying to clean the pipeline out of the mid and upper Miss before the rivers close down, that seems to be the general movement in the bean trade right now from an export point of view. Once the mid and upper Miss are cleaned up, depending on what's going on with exports at that point going forward, we may see basis levels into other river market locations start to improve, but the key is getting past this weekend. I've been doing this quite a while, many years, and I haven't seen going into a weekend much anticipation for a political function slash dinner in the marketplace. It kind of feels like a weekend in the middle of July when you haven't had much rain, and it might rain on Sunday, but nobody knows. That's kind of the scenario we're in right now. And as I mentioned earlier, beans are up 41 cents since the beginning of the month. And keep in mind, on November 1st is when the infamous tweet came out from President Trump about the dinner with he and President Xi. So we may need to hire experts on analyzing what's said in the dinners, on body language, how they toast, whether they shake hands, etc. And I'm being a little sarcastic here, but there's going to be a lot of emphasis and attention paid to what comes out of the meetings this weekend. So once we get past that, whether we're up a whole bunch early next week or we're down a whole bunch next week on beans, depending on what is determined, we still have pretty fundamentally bearish scenarios on beans, i.e. record carryout, record stocks to use, even with some sort of longer term agreement on the trade. Because of the time of year, because of the carryout we are in right now, moving the needle very much on this bean carryout is very difficult going forward. Not to say we can't see some initial reaction on the market, it very well could, but I think that's something to keep in mind going forward. The other thing to keep in mind, if we do for some reason see some additional rally in the beans coming out of that report, the assumption is, especially depending on how high we are, we will see some movement that could have some negative impact on basis. Just the opposite, if we see some negative numbers coming out of early next week, the basis might have to do some work to get some improvement into the marketplace. And keep in mind, as far as corn and wheat, they are followers of this entire situation right now, and I think that's key going forward. So again, Longer term fundamental factors in beans are bearish. Corn has some upside potential depending on what we see with carryout going forward. Keep in mind, carryout again is smaller this year than last year. We had good export sales the past week. So other than this meeting and dinner, the other factors in this market are South American weather, which right now is very good. And really the next thing that can move the market after that is the January crop report, which is a final production number, and an S&D, and also stocks to use ratio. So, and that's still well over a month away. So cash markets are kind of held hostage short term to what occurs in these reports, or excuse me, this dinner and trade meeting here over the weekend. So cattle market, cash cattle trade has been a little limited. We are seeing some weather issues in the west. That's worth monitoring early part of next week. And the hog market is also key to watch longer term because of the the African swine flu and the impact that may have on protein needs around the world going forward. That is more of a longer term story to keep in mind. So with that, it's a flip of the coin how things will occur this weekend. If you have any questions, call us at the office. Phone number is 800-373-2525, or catch us on the web at biscommodities.com. With that, hope everyone has a very good weekend, and we will see you next week.